So we have done reproduction in plants already. So we wanted to speak about how do humans reproduce. And I know you guys said you had started doing that at school already. So that is what I wanted to deal with today. So sorry, I sent you this reproduction document, which I wanted you to download so that you wouldn't really have much writing to do. It would be just really to follow along. So the first part was talking about reproduction in plants, which we have done that already. So we're going to go to the next part, which is to talk about reproduction in humans. So that would start on page of the document. It starts on page 19 of the document. Okay, so you already have the document. So we're going to just start by going through. So it says reproduction in humans. Reproduction in humans is when the male gamete, which is the sperm, fuses with the female gamete, which is the ovum. When at first, after the male gamete fuses with the female gamete, what is formed is going to be called one single cell, which is called a zygote. That one cell duplicates over and over until 9 months later, you have a baby. That is, of course, a very simplified version of it. So first, we're going to look at the male reproductive system, which is what produces our male gamete for us. All right, so males, you should know about your reproductive system more than even the female reproductive system. You definitely should know about your male reproductive system. All right. It's not working out so well. I don't know what happened to the highlighter that I used to use. All right, let's go. So the male reproductive system consists of several parts, as we're going to go through now. So there's the testis, which is where produce sperm and testosterone are produced. There's the scrotum, which is the sac that holds the testes in place, and the purpose of that is to keep the testes cool outside the body, because sperm production takes place at about 35 degrees Celsius and the body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. Then we have sperm ducts. Their job is to link the testis to the urethra. So basically they're to take the sperm from the testis and take it to the urethra. And so it allows the passage of semen containing sperm. There's also a gland called the prostate gland that produces alkaline fluid that helps to produce semen. And there is also the urethra, which is what passes urine for the males, as well as it also passes semen during intercourse. And the penis itself is the organ that becomes firm, that is inserted into the vagina during intercourse for the transfer of sperm. So first we're going to look at this diagram. Let's look at this diagram over this side first, where this is a sideway view of the male reproductive system. So hopefully we can identify the various structures from it, right? So let us start down here with the testes. So this is where the sperm are produced, and testosterone is also produced down here as well. And then the duct, this is the duct that will take away the sperm during intercourse for ejaculation. So this is the sperm duct. There's another name for it. So this duct here, the seminal duct and the vas deferens is the same thing. So in this diagram over here, it's known as the vas deferens, and both of them are the same thing, right? So these two basically are the same, all right? Then now we have going up from here, we have the prostate gland. So the prostate gland, so when the sperm leaves from the testis and it travels up into this duct, it's going to get into the prostate gland, and the prostate gland produces a fluid that is going to be added to the sperm to help to create semen. So here is our prostate gland, and we can look over this other diagram here, and we see the prostate gland over here as well, right? So let us see if we can match them up together. So the prostate here matches up with the prostate right there, all right? Now there's this other gland that they did not label for you, but you are supposed to be aware of it. And this gland right here is known as the seminal vesicle. All right, so let me bring it over a little. So this is a gland that you are supposed to be aware of, which is known as the seminal vesicle. It also helps to produce semen. Right? So you see the seminal vesicle? This is a structure that you see right behind the prostate. If we search over this diagram here, it's not so we can actually find it in this diagram as well. Let us see. This seminal vesicle, let me just change the color. It's right here, right? So it matches up with, so this is seminal vesicle in this diagram, and here it is over here. So this is one of the glands that help to produce semen as well. There's another gland that also helps to produce semen. I'm going to label this gland down here, and this gland is known as the Cowper's gland. So I'm going to label it here. So males, you shouldn't realize that there are 3 glands that help to produce semen, right? To add to the sperm. So I'm going to make a little note right here that you need to copy down, right? So semen is a combination of sperm and fluid. The fluid is derived from 3 glands. These are so remember, you're supposed to make notes of the additional annotations I'm making. So the 3 glands that help to produce the fluid that produces the semen is known as the prostate gland, the seminal vesicle, and the Cowper's gland. And I want you to remember that semen is 2 things come together to create semen. So sperm mixed with the fluid is what creates semen, and the fluid portion is derived from these 3 glands. So let me allow you give you an opportunity to just make sure you make note of the annotations. So by the time the sperm would have been produced here, and then the sperm would be carried in the vas deferens, also known as the seminal duct. And then by the time it comes up here, the sperm will get fluid from the prostate gland. Then it gets some more fluid from the seminal vesicle. Then it comes down here, it gets some more fluid from the Cowper's gland. So by the time it gets right here in the urethra, it is now called semen because it has been mixed up with all these fluids. So this tube right here is the urethra that runs through the penis, which is here. And the job of the urethra is to carry the semen to be deposited into the female vagina during intercourse, or it also transports urine when the male is not having intercourse. As you can see, the urethra comes from the bladder, so it is able to carry urine, and it is also able to carry semen at different times. This diagram over here shows you that the penis itself is made up of spongy erectile tissue. So it doesn't have any bony structure, just spongy erectile tissue that when the male is aroused, blood causes the penis to become engorged and causes it to become erect. So it's a blood flow that comes here to cause it to become erect. Notice that behind the male reproductive system, we have the rectum and the anus right to the back, right? So it shouldn't be hard for you to be able to get an unlabeled diagram of the male reproductive system and label it. But let me just give you 2 more minutes to make the annotations, and then I'm going to show you it's a video on the male reproductive system, and then we're going to see if we can try to label it ourselves.
Wait, miss. So which part in the vagina does the sperm go?
Which part?
Yes.
It's, well, when we go to the female reproductive system, it would be better for you to see
Okay.
where. But the female vagina is just a tract, you know, which is a few inches long. So once the sperm enters anywhere inside there,
Wait. How long is it?
Human reproduction.
Oh, sorry, let me just pause this thing here.
Can be defined.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to pause the video.
More offspring by an existing organism.
Oh,
this
my.
capacity has enabled the origin.
Yes, so I was saying that the female reproductive system, the female vagina, is about 6 inches long or more. So the sperm can.
Okay.
So you guys had finished copying off the annotations I made, like the notes I told you to write off? I'm hoping you did, because I want to clear it now. So you know that semen is a combination of sperm and fluid, and you know where the fluid is, where are the glands that the fluid is produced from. All right, so I'm going to clear the screen. So I'm going to show you now the diagram, this little video on the male reproductive system, and then after that we're going to see if I showed you a diagram of the male reproductive system, if you could label it yourself.
Human reproduction. Reproduction can be defined as the production of one or more offsprings by an existing organism. This capacity has enabled the origin and propagation of various forms of life on Earth. Reproduction involving 2 distinct sexes is the characteristic feature of all forms of life and has played a prominent role in the origin of species and diversity of life by bringing together many characters, giving rise to entirely new organisms. The primary function of sex is to contribute gametes, and the primary sex characters are the gonads, testes in male, and ovaries in females. Fertilization is internal and fetus develops inside the uterus of the mother viviparous. Female reproduction is in volume around the age of 50 years.
So he made a very good point that men continue to form sperm for their, once males start at puberty to produce sperm, a man will continue to produce sperm for the rest of his life unless his testes become damaged. But females, though they don't produce, they produce eggs from puberty, but they stop at menopause. So the female stops at about age 45 to 50, but the man continues to produce sperm all his life. And it basically was just comparing the two reproductive systems, that the purpose of the female reproductive system is to be able to nourish the developing fetus and for the 9 months. And the purpose of the male reproductive system is really to produce the male gamete and to deliver it to the female reproductive system. Let's continue the video.
The male reproductive system. The male reproductive system is located in the pelvis region. It includes a pair of testes along with accessory duct glands and the external genitalia. It consists of a pair of testes lodged in an integumentary pouch, the scrotum. Initially, they're abdominal. However, as the development proceeds, they descend down into the scrotum. It has been proved that this adaptation enables regulation of internal temperature of the testes higher than body temperature, which is essential for their normal functioning. In adults, each test is oval in shape, with a length of about 4 to 5 centimeter and a width about 2 to 3 centimeter. The testis is covered by a dense covering. Each testis has about 250 compartments called testicular lobules. Seminiferous tubules after exit again from a complex network of tubular system known as reticular, again called.
Basically, they're just taking you inside of the testis to show you that it's a very complicated system inside there. So the testis looks like this on the outside. But if you went inside of it, you would see that it is made up of these many coiled tubes, which are called seminiferous tubules. And they're very coiled, and it's inside of these tubes that the sperm are produced. And the fact that there are so many coils of them, it increases the surface area, which allows millions of sperm to be produced per day by the males, right? So he was just showing you how the inside of the testis looks. So let's continue.
Reti testes again unite to form a large convoluted duct.
Yes.
Wait, mister, is it a race between the sperm when they enter the female?
Yeah, when it gets inside the female, yes. There is not really a race, but the sperm want to get to the egg before the egg dies, because they know that the egg doesn't stay alive for more than 24 hours. So the sperm are going to try to see how quickly they could get there to see if they could fertilize the egg before the egg dies.
Mister, what about twins and triplets?
What about them?
Wait, mister, how many has to fertilize?
First, depends on the types of twins. So in identical twins, you had one egg with one sperm. And it's just that one egg and that one sperm, after they fuse, they form a zygote, and that zygote separated into two, and then you ended up getting two children. But sometimes when you have non-identical twins, so for example, if you have a twin which is a boy and a girl twin, what it would mean is that the woman released two eggs and it was fertilized by two different sperm. So it depends on the type of twin that you have. All right. So I'm going to continue this, and then remember, when you finish, you're going to see if we could label the male reproductive system for ourselves.
Called as epididymis, in which sperms are stored. epididymis continues into vas deferens, which carries sperms away from the testes. Vas deferens, after curving back over lower abdominal area, enlarge to form ampulla, in which opens a coil tube with sacculated walls. This is the seminal vesicle. It is supposed to perform nutritive function by providing fructose and other nutrients to maintain vitality of sperms. By the union of seminal vesicular ducts and vas deferens, a short canal is formed. It is called as ejaculatory duct, which further unites with the ureter to form a common passage, the urethra, which opens to outside of the body through the penis. Seminiferous tubule is lined on its inside by two types of cells called male germ cells undergo meiotic division, finally leading to sperm formation. Sertoli cells.
Right, so you don't have to learn all these details, but they're just going into details to tell you exactly how the testes makes the sperm. But right about here, remember he said that after you make the sperm, and the sperm is going to come up here to the epididymis, and then from the epididymis it goes into this tube here, which is called the vas deferens. The vas deferens is going to carry the sperm, and then it's going to, so the vas deferens comes up, and then when it comes right here, it's going to get fluid. So this is a seminal vesicle that will add some fluid. Then it comes to the prostate, that adds some fluid as well. And remember, there is another gland down the bottom there, this little gland right here called the Cowper's gland, that also adds fluid. So by the time we get into the urethra, which is in the penis, the fluid, the sperm would have been mixed with the fluid. The fluid that the sperm mixes with contains nutrients to nourish the sperm as it has to swim. So it contains a lot of fructose, which he says, calcium, and a certain enzymes. The fructose is to give the sperm energy as they have to swim quite a long distance, right, in order to get to the female gamete. So I'm going to bring up a diagram shortly, and I'm going to see how best you are going to be able to label the male reproductive system. Just waiting for it to load up. Right, so you should be able to see the diagram now. Now let me make it bigger for you. So spend about 4 minutes and see if you can work out what all these numbers are in the male reproductive system, right? Let me give you 4 minutes to do that. Give me 3 minutes to try to figure out what these should be before I try to fill in what the labels are. So we're ready. So who wants to supply me with number 1? What is structure number 1?
The seminal vesicle.
Yes, that is a seminal vesicle. Thank you, Krista. Okay. Number 2. John, what's number 2?
Miss bulbourethral gland.
All right, also known as the Cowper's gland. Yes, same thing. The bulbourethral gland is the same thing as the Cowper's gland. Okay, number 3, Christoph.
The vas deferens.
Yes, that is correct. Mhm. Number 4, Ajani. All right, that one's a little bit tricky for you,
Yes,
but try it
I
though.
had the epididymis.
It is the epididymis. Epididymis. Yes, it is. Number 5, Christoph.
The testis.
Yeah, and that is singular, and you know plural would be testes. All right. Number 6, Ajani.
Miss, I don't know what number 6 is.
What do you think, Christoph?
The prostate.
Yes, that is the prostate gland. Mhm. Yeah. Number 7, Ajani.
Miss, I had the urethra.
Number 7, yes, that is the urethra. Mhm. Number 8, no. Well, they kind of made it. All right. So number 8 is called like it's basically the head of the penis, but we can just label it as penis. And number 9 is that the foreskin of the penis. You know,
Wait, Miss.
Mhm.
But for 8, wouldn't it be the glands?
Yes, it's called the glans penis, which is the head of the penis. So I was saying, just to make it easier, could just say that was the penis. And this looks like the foreskin area that you would retract for the penis there. So, but the good thing is that you can label your male reproductive system. That's good. Okay. Some other areas were not. We have the rectum here, anus, and remember our urinary bladder, etc. So the male reproductive system is not too hard. It's simple. It's well. I wouldn't say it's simpler than the female reproductive system. Both of them are fairly of similar complexities. So I'm gonna clear this and I'm gonna go to the female reproductive system next. So let's go back to the notes. So in terms of the female reproductive system now, it has ovaries, which contains follicles that produces the female gametes and also produces and stores eggs, right? So the ovaries is what produces the eggs for the female and it also produces estrogen. Then you have the oviduct, which are the tubes that carries the eggs towards the uterus. They're also known as fallopian tubes. So you can call it the fallopian tube or you can call it the oviduct. And it carries the egg. The egg is produced here in the ovary and it is to carry the egg on its way to the uterus. But it is in the fallopian tube that you also want the sperm to meet the egg. So notice it says here that the fallopian tube is a site of fertilization. This is where, up here is where you want the sperm and the egg to meet. If you get them to meet up here, that's the best location, right? So right here, we would have it as to say the site of fertilization. Right? Because if the sperm could meet the egg right here, then as soon as the sperm meets the egg and they fuse, the egg is it's now going to be called a zygote, and the zygote is going to start multiplying and multiplying and multiplying as it travels down here, and it will form a ball of cells. You want it to become a ball of cells that by the time it gets to the uterus, that ball of cells can just get implanted in the wall of the uterus. So you want the fertilization to happen here to give it enough time for the zygote to develop into a ball of cells and to develop the finger-like projections that will allow it to implant in the wall of the uterus. Now, continuing now, the uterus is where the fetus develops, right? So right here is the uterus. The job of uterus is to house the fetus for the 9 months, to nourish it, and to protect it. The cervix now is found at the bottom of the uterus. So down at the very bottom of the uterus is called the cervix, also known as the neck of the uterus, right? So this is the entrance to the uterus. So there's a narrow opening here called the cervix. This is normally plugged. So there's normally a plug here so that things don't just go from the vagina and into the uterus easily, because that could cause infections. So this plug here gets removed, like if the woman is menstruating during her period or during intercourse. So when the female gets stimulated during intercourse, it causes this plug to be removed, which makes it easier for the sperm to be able to come up in the vagina and enter into the uterus and swim until they get up here and meet the egg. All right. So the uterus now is made up of 2 parts. The uterus wall is made up of muscle. So this part that you're seeing here is muscle, right? And then this little thin lining right here, this little thin stripe here is called the endometrium, which is the lining of the uterus. This is the thin stripe. This is made up of blood. So this lining is made up of blood that will nourish the fetus, and this is the muscular part of the uterus that helps to push the baby out when it is time for birth, okay? And the vagina now is the organ that you see found beneath. So below the uterus is this tube here, which is a vagina muscular organ which can stretch to facilitate the penis during intercourse so that the penis can deposit the sperm in the vagina and then the sperm will make its way up. And it also facilitates the birth of the baby after the 9 months. All right. So the female reproductive system, those are the main parts of it. I'm going to show you a video quickly about it. And it's fairly easy to label the female reproductive system. It's not, it actually has less parts than the male reproductive system. But afterwards, I want us to do a comparison of the 2 systems. So let me just get the video ready for you.
Most women have approximately 250,000 egg cells, which are kept safe inside her ovaries throughout her lifetime. Midway through a woman's menstrual cycle, a single egg is released from a fluid-filled sac called a follicle. At this point, the egg, which is one of the largest cells in the body, is no bigger than a grain of sand. A single sperm must fertilize the egg within 24 hours, or it will be absorbed and the woman's cycle will begin again.
You heard that part, dear Ajani, why the sperm, when you had asked to say if the sperm were in competition, and I said to you that it's not that it's in competition, is that the sperm know that they have a short time to get to the egg before the egg dies, because the egg only survives for 24 hours after it is released. So the best chance the woman has of getting pregnant is if the sperm was inside there before the egg was released. So say for instance, a couple had sex last night, sperm were deposited and sperm was swimming up there, and then today is when the woman releases the egg. That would give that woman a very great chance of getting pregnant because the sperm were inside before the egg was released, right? But if, for example, the egg is released today, but the woman has sex tomorrow, then by the time the sperm gets to that egg would have been dead, right? So the two processes have to be well coordinated for them to work well together. Understand? So let's continue.
Make sure it's better to have it in the night.
What, intercourse?
Yes.
It's not really the time of day. It's about knowing if the woman knows her cycle. So when the woman, when we get to the menstrual cycle, you know that once a woman starts her period, that is day number 1 of her cycle. So she can expect that she's going to release an egg at day number 14 of her cycle. So if she starts having her period today, then she knows that 14 days from now, she can expect to release an egg. So if it is that she wants to have a child, she and her husband wants to have a child, then maybe they should start having sex from probably day 12, day 13, day 14, day 50, to make sure that sometime around there, when the egg is released, that there are sperm already in the tract waiting to fertilize that egg. So it's really about knowing the cycle, the female cycle, and making sure that you have sex around the time when the egg is released to give the greatest chance of pregnancy.
Oh.
Right?
Let me say, does it matter what time of day?
No, it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. The egg can be released at any time of the day.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's continue with this.
Sperm must overcome a variety of barriers to successfully fertilize the egg. Out of the 200 to 300 million sperm ejaculated, only a small number of sperm will actually reach the egg. 25% of the sperm die almost immediately upon contact with the acidic environment of the woman's vagina. This acidic environment protects the woman from infection and bacteria. The sperm's only purpose is to fertilize an egg. They instinctively swim against the downward current of the fallopian tubes toward the egg. One sperm can fertilize the egg, after which a biochemical reaction helps the egg.
So this is telling you that once the sperm gets to fertilize the egg, immediately the egg is going to be called a zygote, and it's going to start dividing and it's going to form a ball. So you want this ball to form so that by the time it gets to the uterus, it can put out some of the finger-like projections and latch on to the uterus. So if the egg and the sperm were to meet when it was in the uterus, it wouldn't, the zygote would not have been developed enough so it could be implanted in the uterus, and it probably would fall out because it didn't get a chance to develop those finger-like projections that it needed in order to latch on to the uterus wall.
Comes a hollow ball of fluid-filled cells, now called a blastocyst. The blastocyst floats down and implants itself in the nutrient-rich lining of the uterus to begin receiving nutrients from the mother. By 2 weeks, the blastocyst has grown to 1/10 of an inch in length. The spine is developing, and the chambers of the heart are beginning to form. Soon, the heart will begin to beat. Just 4 weeks after conception, before you may even know you're pregnant, your baby's heart has already begun to beat. At this point, it's too early to tell who your baby looks like, but you may be surprised at how quickly he or she is developing. The spinal cord is already forming, and the heart has begun its life's work. At the end of the first trimester, just 3 months along, your baby has arms and legs, and his fingers and toes are well underway. Eyelids, ears, ankles, and wrists are already there. All major organs and systems are forming and will mature over the rest of your pregnancy. At this point, your baby is only 2.5 to 3 inches long and weighs about 1/2 ounce. Pretty amazing that one so small can be causing so many changes in your body and your life. Listen closely and you can hear your baby's heartbeat, which is very fast compared to yours and mine. During the mid stages of your pregnancy, your baby's major systems are continuing to develop. By the end of the 4th month, your baby is 4 inches long. She is beginning to swallow and suck, and her body is now, her fingers are well developed, and the buds of her teeth are starting to show up. At the end of the 5th month, your baby has gone through quite a growth spurt and is now 8 to 10 inches long. Her body is covered with a downy covering called lanugo, and her hair is beginning to grow on her head. She's even starting to grow eyelashes and eyebrows. At this point, you may be able to feel her moving within you.
So this is
By
basically,
the end of your
this
6th
has
month,
passed talking about the female reproductive system, but it's just telling you more about how the fetus develops. So I'm just allowing you to watch it so that you have an idea that after the sperm and the egg meets, what happens to the, to develop into a baby afterwards. So I'll just allow you to continue before I'm going to see if you are able to label the female reproductive system as well.
your baby is approximately 13 inches long and weighs almost 2 pounds. Her fingerprints can be seen, and her skin is very thin since she has not yet built up any fat. Her eyes are starting to open. By the end of the 7th month, your baby is beginning to get some fat on her body, and she probably weighs about 3 pounds. She can respond to sound and touch, and she may even suck her thumb. You'll feel her move around quite a bit at this point. Over the coming weeks, her body, and especially her brain, will grow more than ever. By 32 weeks, most of her body's systems are well developed, although her lungs still need time to prepare for the outside world. During your last month of pregnancy, your baby is getting ready for birth. She'll gain as much as 2.5 pounds and grow about 2 inches during the final weeks. At this stage, your baby might not move quite as much. If she really slows down a lot, or you're concerned she's not moving enough, contact your provider. The first step of your baby's journey probably took place before your labor even began. Engagement is when your baby's head settles into your pelvis and is sometimes called dropping or lightning. The next step is called descent, and it happens while you're contracting and pushing. The baby's head may move a little to the left or right, and her chin up or down, as she shifts until her head is in the right position to continue her downward descent. Once she's in the correct position, flexion begins. Your contractions and the bones of your pelvis put a small amount of pressure on your baby's head. This pressure pushes her chin into her chest. Her head gradually rotates toward your pelvic bone as her head descends deeper into your pelvis. This allows the back of your baby's head, the widest part, to pass through the widest part of your pelvis. The next step in your baby's monumental journey is called extension. As your contractions exert downward pressure and your pelvic muscles exert upward pressure, your baby's head changes position. Her head, which was curled forward against her chest.
This is showing you what happens now when it's time for the baby to come out. Now, you notice that the baby was held in the uterus, right? And remember that the cervix that we saw in the female reproductive system was this is a small area at the neck. Normally, now the cervix has to remain closed while the woman is pregnant. But when it is time for birth, that cervix has to get dilated, and that is usually the painful part for the woman, for you to have a cervix that is tightly closed, having to dilate. So here it is, having to open up to about 10 centimeters so the baby's head can come out. It is extremely painful for this process to happen. And then when the cervix opens up to 10 centimeters, then the baby's head can come out, and then the baby's head has to pass through the vagina, which also is the tube that now has to stretch for the baby to be able to pass out. So that is why birth is such a painful process, because a lot of stretching has to happen, as you can imagine, right? All right, so before I give you a little break, I want to show you the female reproductive system to see how best you could label that one. So I'll give you 3 minutes to come up with the labels for the female reproductive system. So 3 minutes. Is ready? Are you guys ready? You think you can label it now? Do you think you can label the female reproductive system now? Hello.
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Okay, let's just start then. Let's just start off with number 5. What do you think that is?
Miss, is it the fallopian tube?
Yes, it's a fallopian tube. And number 6 might be tricky for you, but let me see here if you have anything for it.
Miss, the fimibrae?
No, it's actually the wider part of the, it's the widest part of the fallopian tube is called the ampulla. What about number 7?
The ovary?
Yes. Number 8.
Oh, I didn't do 8.
What do you think?
The endometrium.
That's the endometrium. Yes, a little lining. As I told you, that is the blood lining. Number 1.
The uterine cavity?
That's the vagina. That's the vagina. So the vagina comes, and this is the uterine cavity up here. That's number 2.
The cervix?
That's the cervix, yes. Number 3.
The myometrium.
Yes, that's the wall of the, that's the muscular wall of the female, of the uterus, yeah? And number 4 now.
The uterus?
That's the uterus, that's the cavity, the uterine cavity, the space inside of the uterine cavity. All right. Well, you did a pretty good job at in terms of your labeling. So I'm fairly happy with that. Now, one more thing I want to do before I break, because we're gonna finish with the bio and go through that chemistry worksheet I sent to you last week. But before we do that, I want us to compare how the male and reproductive system are similar. They have similarities and they have some differences. So I want us to make some notes about that. All right, so first we're gonna make a little table here. All right. So we're gonna talk about the comparison of the male and female reproductive system. All right, so let us do. So what we're gonna do is to try to see what structures in the female reproductive system has a similar structure in the male reproductive system. Let us see now. Draw. Is this a table? No. I want to draw a table. Anyway, let's see what we can do. So basically, I'm going to find a structure in the female female reproductive system, and you see if there's anything in the male reproductive system that you think is similar in structure or function? All right, so first thing I'm going to give you is the ovary in the female, and you're going to tell me if you can find anything in the male that is similar in structure or function to the ovary. All right, so first structure, the ovary. Job of the ovary in the female is to produce the female gamete and to produce estrogen. Is there any structure in the male that does a similar function to what the ovary does in the female?
Repeat, miss.
Your job is to think about the male reproductive system, to think of if you can find any structure in the male that does a similar function to what the ovary does in the female.
Testis.
Thank you. The testis. Yes. Because the testis, what is the role of the testis? It is to produce the male gamete and testosterone. So they are doing similar things. So it produces the hormone and it also produces the male gamete, which is exactly what the ovary does. So the ovary and the testes have similar functions, all right, for males and females. So let's find another one. I want you to see if you can come up with another one. So I gave you that one.
It's the fallopian tube and the epididymis.
Well, I wouldn't say the epididymis. Why? Let me hear you first. All right, I can. It's not the epididymis you should use though to compare the fallopian tube. What's the purpose of fallopian tube? Is to transport the female gamete, right? So, what structure in the man transports the male gamete then? Think hard.
The vas deferens.
So it's a vast difference that you should use to compare the fallopian tube, yes. So the vas deferens has a similar function to what the fallopian tube does. I don't think we actually have any other. I don't think we actually have any other similarities, to be honest.
Is it because they both mature, like
What?
puberty?
What? I don't understand your question.
Means they both mature, like puberty.
Yeah, they both mature. But I was just saying that I don't think I can find any other similarity between the two of them. These are the two structures that I can say are similar, that they have what something the female has that the man has something that is similar. But there are some structures now which are unique to the female, and you don't have any matching structure that is there that matches it for the males. So let me just talk about that. So structures unique. No, this part is for you to tell me things that the female reproductive system has, and there's nothing in the male reproductive system that is similar. Think about it. Things that are in the female and you can't find anything matching in the male reproductive system.
Miss the egg.
No, I wouldn't say the egg. Well, the egg is a female gamete and the male has the sperm, which is a male gamete. So technically, that would be similar.
Miss, the male is supposed to produce sperm and the female ovum.
No, remember we're talking about the reproductive system, you know, not just the physical system. What structure is there in a female that there's nothing similar to it in a male?
Or like the physical?
Yes, the physical structure.
Wait, is it like because the male reproductive system is on the outside while the female is more inside?
That too. But the actual structure, me no. Let me give you a clue. The woman has a uterus, which is where the baby is produced. Is there any part of the man that is similar to the female uterus? A man doesn't have anything that looks like a uterus, no. So that is unique to the female reproductive system, right? The other thing that is unique to the female reproductive system that the man doesn't have anything similar to is the vagina. The man doesn't have anywhere to receive sperm, right? So these are the structures that are unique to the female reproductive system that the man doesn't have anything matching, right? In a similar breath, we can say what are things unique to the male reproductive system that the females don't have a matching copy for. All right, so what the man has that the female doesn't have anything similar to would be the penis. So the female doesn't have anything that looks like a penis. And also the glands. So that would be That would be the prostate, seminal vesicle, and the cowpers. The female doesn't have any gland similar to that. Oh, I forgot. There was actually a similarity over here that I forgot. I'm going to put it over here. And that is the urethra. Both of them have a urethra. But it's just that it's different for what the female urethra does. So the female urethra only carries urine, or the male urethra can carry both urine and semen at different times. So we actually had 3 similar structures in them, and then we had structures which were unique to what you'd find only in the female and what you'd find only in the male reproductive system. All right, so let me give you a chance to copy this down, and then I'll give you a break. So I'm going to give you about another 5 minutes to finish this, and then I'll give you a 10-minute break. So that means that by 10 minutes past 5, we should be resuming, okay? All right, Ajani and Christoph. Finish with the biology. I'm going to switch gears to the chem. No, I sent you a handout. I sent you a worksheet last week. I told you to send the answers to me, you didn't. But we're going to have to discuss that worksheet. So you both have them. You both should have it in your inbox because I sent it to you guys. That mole concept worksheet. The molar calculations with gases worksheet. Could you pull that up? Because we're going to discuss. You are going to tell me how you arrived at the answers for the various questions for that. Who is going to tell me how to do number 1? Danny and Christoph, who's going to work out number 1 from the worksheet? I'm waiting on it, you know. So this is the worksheet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We aim to discuss how to solve the 5 questions in the time we have. So who is going to start off with number 1? So you're saying that you have done number one, Ajani? And you got an answer for number one?
Wait, miss, I'm still working it out.
So where's Christoph? I don't hear anything from him. Right, you both have the
Miss,
word.
I'll do number one. I'll do number one. I can do it now.
All right, so I'm going to the whiteboard for us to discuss it. All right, so question number one. That one asked you to, the whole thing said, what is the volume of 3.5 grams of hydrogen? Okay. And this was at RTP, because it did say all of your calculations were to be done at RTP. So I would like for you to tell me, Ajani, step by step, how you arrived at your answer. Just give me a minute there.
Yes, I'm done working it out.
So we are going through the entire worksheet. So if you the more you have done, quicker we can go through it. All right, so Ajani, what was the first thing you did for this one here to solve this one?
Okay, miss, I did mass over moles times the atomic mass.
Come again? So
I did.
you were finding what, moles first?
No, I was finding the mass first.
But the mass was given to you.
Oh, okay, so
you're finding the number of moles.
yeah, I found the number of moles.
And an equation used to find the number of moles is that mass divided by RMM?
Yes.
All right, so what is the RMM of hydrogen? Please bearing in mind that hydrogen is diatomic.
Miss, it's one.
No, but it's diatomic. You always have two atoms of hydrogen together. So the RMM of a hydrogen molecule is 2.
Oh yeah, yes.
So when you find the mole now, so the 3.5 grams
divided by 2, where I got 1.75 moles.
Okay, so that gives you, 1.75 moles. All right. So that was the first thing you did. So then
Miss,
then
I
what
went
did you
to
do?
find the volume.
So what is the equation used for volume? So the volume of gas is equal to?
Volume of gas. I had mole times the molar volume.
All right, that's fine. That's correct. Right? So yeah.
So then I did 1.75 times 24.
So mole times molar volume, and because it was as RTP, the molar volume is 24 dm cubes, right?
Yes.
Right, so that would be
so then I got
1.7.
So then I got 42 dm cube, or 42,000 cm cube.
Okay, no, it sounds correct. So 42 dm cubes, which would be the same thing as 42,000, right, cm cubes. That is correct. Thank you, Ajani. So that means that number 2 would be yours now, Christoph. This one says number 2 had asked for the mass of magnesium carbonate needed to make 6 dm cubes of carbon dioxide. Okay, that one. Let us see how you tackled that one, Christoph. Or if you didn't do it before, what would you do? Looking at the worksheet, remember there's an equation given to you on the worksheet. And I remember giving you some guidance last week, and I said, start off by using the equation that should give you the answer that you need. So if they're asking you for mass of something, that means you need to write an equation that will allow you to find mass. What is mass equal to?
Grams.
No, that is a unit.
The RMM times the number of moles.
So it's RMM times the number of moles, right? So in this case, we can work out the RMM of magnesium carbonate. So that would be 24 plus 12 plus 48. So what would be the total RMM there?
84.
84, all right. So the RMM we know. So that means that we don't know the mole. So how do you propose we find the mole now? So we have to find another way to get the mole because we don't know what it is, right? But they did say to us about 6 dm cube of carbon dioxide. So I guess they're expecting us to use the equation to see how we would get what amount of moles we would get from the equation.
Well, miss, is it number of moles is equal to volume given over molar volume?
All right, so first we find the number of moles of CO2, right? So you said it's equal to what?
Miss.
Volume divided by molar volume.
Volume given. Yeah.
Divided by the molar volume. All right. All right. So molar volume. So that would be the 6 dm cubes.
6 over 24.
Over the 24, and you got how much?
0.25.
All right, so then now, but this is giving us the information about the CO2. So we have to find some way to link the CO2 to the magnesium carbonate. So from the equation, what was the ratio between the CO2 and the magnesium carbonate from the equation? What was the mole ratio between them? From the equation, the ratio was a 1-to-1 relationship, which means that if we had 0.25 moles of CO2, then we should have the same amount of moles of magnesium carbonate. So having now found the moles of magnesium carbonate, we could go back to finding the mass of the magnesium carbonate, as which was what they originally asked us for. That would be equal to the RMM, which we had worked out already, times the mole that we just got, which is 0.25 moles. And what mass would that work out to be? Work that out for me, please. While I go to when I set up for number 3.
21.
It works out to be 21 grams. Okay.
Yes, miss.
All right. 21 grams. Okay. Number 3 now. Whichever one of you want to do this one. It said that you had 6 grams of a hydrocarbon with a volume of 4.8 dm cubes, and they want the RMM. That's what they're basically asking. So what equation do we have that makes RMM the subject? So RMM is equal to what now, guys?
Mass times number of moles.
You sure? RMM would be equal to mass divided by the number of moles. All right. So all we would have to do is to put in the mass, but oh, we don't have the mole, right? We don't have the mole. So how do we proceed? How are we going to use this to find mole now? We could, it's a gas, so you know, mole of a gas is equal to the volume given times molar volume. So the volume they gave us was 4.8 dm cubed.
I can't do it, I'm done.
Sorry, it's supposed to be divided. What did you say?
I can't do it now.
After we almost finished with it, you know, Johnny. So you did it before?
No, miss, I was just
0.2.
Okay. So divided by 24 dm cubed. What do you got for the mole there, Christoph?
0.2.
All right. So we go back down. So now that we have the mole, so RMM would be equal to the 6 grams divided by the 0.2 moles. So what is the RMM going to be equal to now?
30. 30.
30, and the units will be?
It will be 30 moles.
Grams divided by mole, so the unit is gram per mole.
Oh.
So you guys never did work, you didn't work on the worksheet before today, no?
Miss, no, because like we have to be doing a lot of SBAs and.
Okay. All right, I'm going to leave number 4 and number 5 for you to work out for me and send the pictures for me. So copy these ones, number 4 and number 5. You have to work them out and send them to me. Take the pictures, convert them to PDF and send them to me. And I needed to send them to me by 6:30. So I'm giving you an hour to send them to me. Okay, guys?
Could you go back on the questions?
Remember that I sent it to you, Ajani. So you're not seeing it in your...
No, I didn't see it.
I'll WhatsApp it to you again. You should have it, Christoph. Do you have it? The worksheet, Christoph.
Yes, miss.
All right, so... All right, so Ajani, I'm going to send it to you on WhatsApp. So we have done number 1 to 3. So I want you to work on number 4 and 5 for me and send it to me by 6:30. Just like how I have worked out my thing nice and clearly, I want for you to do the same thing. I'm going to leave this up for you to copy off the workings, right? On your finish, you can sign yourselves out, and you're going to do number 4 and number 5. Take the photographs, convert them to PDF, send them to me so that I can mark them. And you have an hour to do that. Do you have any questions? Is it clear what you are to do?
Yeah.
Great. All righty.